All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Developer Dynasty here on our Wolverine Studios Twitch channel. It's good to be back with everybody. Very excited to talk about Draft Day Sports College Football 2023 tonight. It's been a while since we've done one of the Developer Dynasties, and we are now ready to start talking about our 2023 lineup, and it's really excited to get back to doing these and get started here. I've got Brooks with me, the developer for Draft Day Sports College Football 2023. Brooks, I want to say hello to everybody out there.
Yeah, hey guys, welcome back.
I know our channel has been busy with our community manager, C. Jackson Cowart, who has been doing the Draft Day Dynasties series every Thursday night and doing a great job of that. He's also been responsible for putting together a new series on our YouTube channel called Draft Day Academy, which we're using to show off some of the in-depth features about games. It's a great starting point for anybody who's new to the game. So far, we've done a couple episodes on college basketball, and hopefully we can expand that further as we go on. So make sure you're checking out our streams on Thursday night here with C. Jackson, and checking out our YouTube channel to catch up on all the streams you might have missed and all of our new features. We've got like 10 new followers today, almost something crazy like that. So it's pretty exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of interest in talking about our 2023 titles, and we're going to spend the next half hour or so talking over a couple of the new things. We don't want to talk about everything at once. We want to have a couple episodes here for the Draft Day Dynasty series. I want to remind everybody too, if you aren't following us, make sure you follow us so that you know when we go live. You get updates and stuff like that. If you can subscribe to our channel, if you have Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch account, and you get one free sub every month to a channel that you want. If you use that free sub on us, it's no cost at all to you. It helps us. It gives us a small benefit for doing that. So to the people who are subscribing to the channel through that, or if they're subscribing through by paying to the channel, we really that's amazing. We really appreciate that. But even if you can do that free sub, it helps us out, and a little something for us for running this channel, and hope giving us a way to connect with you guys every week. I want to say before we get started, if anybody here has questions for Brooks especially, or suggestions or things you want to talk about, feel free to put them in the chat box. We will answer as many questions as we can while we go. And, we're going to get into it. The first one, Papa Boar 91 asks for the release date. We mentioned that in our blog post. If you haven't read our blog post, go to our website, click on blogs, and grab the latest post there. That the release date, the final release date, is targeting August 26th right now for College Football 2023. So that will be the first game in our 2023 lineup that we release. And as you know, for fans of the college series, we've always released the college games late in the actual season. I really like the idea Brooks had of pushing this one up to the beginning of the college football season, because the college football season isn't that long anyways, and there's so much excitement week to week that we want everybody on the to be able to have the newest version here and playing along as the season goes this year, rather than kind of getting into the new game at the end of the season. So that is why we've decided to switch up the release dates this year and bring this one first. I'm going to start really quickly looking at the create screen, because it's got one of my favorite new additions to the game this year. I'm going to click on the playoff structure, and Brooks has added the 16-team playoff. Brooks, how important has the addition of the other playoff structures been to the fans for this game?
I think it just gives more options. Well, what we're finding is that there are plenty of people out there that want to recreate current state of affairs, but there are a bunch of people who are also looking to do one-off leagues or future-looking leagues, or they want to not use like an official NCAA kind of format at all. They want to create their own, and so having much more options here, including the 16 team, gives them the ability to expand those leagues and expand how many teams go to the playoffs, whether they're using FCS, whatever they're doing. The game's a sandbox in some aspects, so able to create their own teams, their own structures, their own conferences, all of that. So being able to go to 16 is helpful for all of those scenarios. And to be honest, in the future, who knows where NCAA is going to go with super conferences and all that stuff. So if you have ideas on what you'd like to see done and how you want your leagues to be set up, and well, now we have 16. So it's going to be interesting to see what people do with that one. Um, so
Yeah, I love the idea, because one of the greatest arguments I think for college football fans is how the playoffs would have worked if there were more teams, if their favorite team would have gotten in, could somebody have made a run, all that kind of stuff. I love that we can expand now upon this all the way to 16 teams and give people the chance to, kind of settle that for themselves in their own leagues, in their own series, so that they can see what it would look like, what it would feel like if real life kind of went to that.
absolutely. I mean, there are people that prefer 4, and there are people who want to go with 8 because they want the Power 5 plus 3, and then there are other people who are like, no, 8's not enough. I want to go to 16, and so well, now the game mirrors that and allows people to have at it. So
And there's a lot of other customization options here when creating a league. Choosing from a different format, different roster sources. For anybody who's new to the game, kind of go over just real quick some of the things they can do with these options.
and so a lot of these options have evolved over time as people are trying to create different scenarios or load up mods that they've already created externally, and they want to use them to create the new league as opposed to creating a league and then trying to modify it as they go. So a lot of these options have just been pulled out of configuration and back into new league. We've done this in past versions of the game, but it's there so that you can create a new league, set it up with the right format that you want, set it up with the schedule that you want, use the any coach mods or whatever that you might want to go ahead and create your league with, so that once you start the game, it's all good to go. You don't have to worry about creating a bunch of CPU generated stuff and then modding it. You can actually start the league that way out of the box. So that's what most of those options are for.
And I think it's one thing we've always tried to do in all of our titles is give people options. So if you're a veteran of our games and our series, the kind of options we have, the mods, things like that. If you're new to our stuff and just checking in for the first time, I definitely want people to know how much they can do, in terms of customizing, different leagues and really making a game world that feels like their own. And I think that Brooks and Asger have done a great job in the football games with that. I've done it in the basketball games, and I think it really really gives a lot of playability to our games.
Yeah, definitely. I'm chuckling a little bit because I see Michigan in the top spot there. I wonder
Well, of
how
course,
that
what other
happened.
team would I pick?
Exactly. No, the a shout out does need to go out to some of the folks in the community who are really uh, help with the modding and with setting up some default files, default logos, things like that. That obviously we can't ship with for various reasons, but the community out there really goes above and beyond creating that so that people new to the game or people who want it all out of the box already set up for them can download from the mod forum and grab these things. And with CF23, it'll be the same way. We've updated um, some conference alignment. We've moved some teams around and added some teams or whatever, so that it'll mirror what it looks like for the official 22-23 season. And our mods are going to be on top of that, I'm sure, to keep it up to date and ready to go for launch. So shout out to all those guys who help out with that.
So one of the I kind of covered a very high level of some of the updates and changes and new innovations this year in the game in our blog post. But I'm going to go over a couple of them here during this stream. And on the depth chart screen here, I kind of thought we talked tonight about sort of the the game plan, the strategy, stuff like that that's changed. On the depth chart screen here, one thing that I like here is the quick view position. Um, in the past that would pop up on top of the screen and kind of cover the whole screen and wouldn't be, it was difficult because you'd have to switch back and forth. I like that we have it now at the bottom of the screen where you can see the data for the players and and see them all at once as you're making decisions.
Yeah, this was actually a great segue into getting feedback from the community. So going into the beta period, which we're kind of in now, and then into first access, and then even after release, sometimes people play through the game and they bring up great ideas. They bring up problem areas where they wish we could reduce some clicks somewhere, or places where they could really use some additional data to help with decisions. And this was one of those pieces of feedback that we were able to push into CF22. So yeah, I mean, that's exactly how it works. Somebody's like, hey, I'd really like to be able to see more data here. You got a little bit of room. Can you shuffle some things around to make this work? And yeah, we were able to get that in. So obviously, the more people who join our Slack channels, the more people who join Discord, the more people who are messaging us on the forum or whatever. As you have those ideas, throw them at us. Some of them, we may not be able to get to, but some of them we do. And anything we can do to make the game better for the people who were immersed in it, we're happy to do so.
So I noticed on the package drop down now, there's a new package for backups. What does that bring to the game this year?
Yeah, so this is going to be probably the largest change that I'm going to make to the football games. This will happen in pro as well. So the biggest feedback that we've had over the years is that people want more control over substitution logic. There have been a fair amount of complaints about the AI behind it sometimes makes some really odd decisions as to when it should sub people out and that kind of thing. So I've shuffled these things around quite a bit to enable some new features. So the first thing is that the packages are going to be set up where you have 4 packages to do various personnel groupings. Like you might have your primary package, and then you have secondary and tertiary, or you could certainly use it to break apart primary running back versus backup, running back by committee, that kind of thing is the thought between your 4 packages. The 5th package is locked to backups only. And this is the package that the AI will put in when your team is ahead or behind by a strategy threshold that you set, a point threshold that you set on the strategy screen. That way you could set like, oh, when I'm up 21, go ahead and use the backup package. When I'm up 27, use the backup package. When I'm up 7, like throw all the backups in, whatever you want to do. It gives you more control so that your backups aren't just being put in by the AI. You have a little bit more control over that. In this case, the backup package is a little bit more like garbage time in theory, but that's kind of what we're setting up in this package screen here is you get 4 plus 1. You get 4 on offense, and the 5th is backups on offense. You get 4 plus 1 on defense as well, so that you have a little bit more control over it. This is a little broader than just this one screen because there's additional things that you'll set up on your strategy screen as well to kind of make all this stuff work. But the end goal is that as you go through, the AI no longer will just sub people out. The AI is, you can click on the formation screen to kind of see it. The AI no longer will just randomly pull people out. It's going to follow this package percentage sets that are listed on this screen. So, for example, shotgun 4 wide receiver right there in the middle of the screen, you have default offense and offensive package 2 are both set to about 50%. That means if you set your default offense to have, a certain set of 4 wide receivers and you swap out all 4 of those wide receivers in offensive package 2 for a different set of 4, well, now you basically have 8 wide receivers that are going to split time when in that particular formation. So it will follow all of these ratios that you set up on this screen. And now they're no longer weights, they're more percentages. So it makes a little bit more sense as to how this thing is spread apart. But that's going to be a major shift in the way that we do things. Because if you want your backups to play, you're going to have to create packages with those specific backups. Usually it's like a backup running back, or running back by committee, or rotating in defensive linemen, or rotating in cornerbacks or whatever if you want. A lot of people say, no, I don't want that. I want my starters on the field all the time. I don't really want any backups in there unless I specify a particular running back or whatever. Just tell the AI to lay off, and I don't want it touching any of my stuff. And so we've enabled that. You could set a default offense, you could set it to 100%, and it will only use that one package until it gets to garbage time and decides that it needs to put your backups in. Now, there's additional logic that goes in here as well, because now we've made the AI more endurance and energy aware for the players. So the players will get tired. As the players get tired, their performance will suffer. They'll potentially get injured more. They'll potentially slow down, fumble the ball, miss a catch, those kinds of things. The more tired they get. So now we have substitution logic in there so that you can tell it, hey, when my player gets below a certain threshold, pull him. And it'll use the second slot of your depth chart, or the third slot or whatnot. And then once they recover a certain amount of energy throughout the game, either via, halftime or timeouts or whatever, then, or being, off the field, then the game will go back to putting them back in the game. So this is the way for people to really drill down on how tired they want their starters to go, versus if you have a stacked team and you don't really care, then you could set up all of your packages to have multiple players, multiple personnel groupings, multiple rotations and whatnot, and you could set those thresholds a lot higher because you're okay with, I always want fresh linemen in there, I don't really care. Whereas teams who may only have a couple of superstars and a bunch of scrubs, they might want to just ride those guys to, as long as they possibly can and let those guys get super tired. So this is the way to turn all of those dials and set up much more granularity around how all that works, versus the AI will not do any of it anymore. It's just going to follow these percentages as you set. There's nothing hidden on the in the engine itself anymore. All of that's now completely pulled out in favor of these ratio calculations.
And I think one thing that I've noticed, kind of as the game has evolved year after year, is every year you've given the players an opportunity to control a little bit more and a little bit more. And I think with this addition, with with the ability to set the energy thresholds, like I'm showing on the game planning screen, I think you're really giving people the opportunity to, they've been able to recruit the team that they want. They've been able to set up all the game plans offensively, defensively, create their own custom playbook, create their own custom plays. They've been able to do everything but really dial in on exactly who they want on the field, and I think this gives them that opportunity. So I think this is a brilliant change to the game. This is why I went with this thing first in our first Dev Dynasty here to show off first, because I think this is a huge game changer, because it gives everybody that opportunity for even more control in setting up their team exactly the way they want it.
Yeah, it's a significant change. I mean, it's going to be something we focus on during the beta testing. It'll be something I'll ask for the first access folks to take a look at. There's a couple questions kind of around it, but it's uh, all of these formations and the packages and all that are going to be driven by coach attributes. So, if coaches prefer one way or the other, then you'll start to see more packages one way or the other. The old running back by committee flag, you'll start to see more 50-50 across multiple personnel groupings versus some teams who have like a single back might, get upwards of 85-15, that kind of thing. Um, they'll create multiple different kinds of packages if they need to. Like, we will evolve that over time as we dive into more of how the coaches are set up. But yeah, that's going to be the biggest change because it's going to affect most of the engine. It's going to affect how many carries players get for a full season. It'll affect all of that stuff. So we want to make sure that it's uh, not only working as intended, but also not game breaking, right? I mean, that's not the intent. The intent is to give people the ability to go one way or the other. Either you you're able to put in people longer than you could before, but you're also going to get natural debuffs to your players by doing that. So it's kind of a risk reward kind of scenario where you have to decide whether you know you run that running back into the ground and keep them on the field all season long, or whether you try and blend people in to keep them fresh, and where that works for you, and the AI and the coaches and all the other uh, teams that are in your league will kind of do something similar. They'll be much more conservative. There won't be um, AI teams going too crazy with it because it's just it's not as realistic. But again, if you want to do that for your team, you're able to push it pretty far in those threshold extremes.
So, in the chat here, a couple things that let's get to. Bobby Dansk, first time chat, so thank you for following us today. How do you purchase or be eligible for early access? Buy through the website, and the game will get listed there as early access. Yep, for everybody who is new, what we do is we do a program called First Access, and it's only through WolverineStudios.com. It doesn't happen on Steam. Anybody's eligible. You go to the web store. We give you a code. You can put it in. You can get a discount on the game. As soon as you make the purchase, you'll get the license key, and you'll get a link to download all the latest betas, and you can go in and play. It's best if you play and give us feedback on things, anything you find that's not working right, things you like, things you don't like. Some people just purchase it just for the discount. Some people purchase it and play the beta, but they don't give feedback. You can do anything you want with it. And then when the final version is released, you just download the final version and any updates after that, and you're good to go. If you order early access from us, you also do get a Steam key. So if you want to play on Steam, you can still pre-order from us. Pre-ordering from us helps us out. And you can get a discount that way, and then you'll get your Steam key when it's all said and done. If you've bought the prior version from us, we give anybody who's bought the prior version from our website only, we give them a little bit bigger discount to thank them for supporting us directly and for coming back in the next season. So that's how that works. And then Coop Savage, for you, Brooks, can you guys get more in depth in explaining each head coach traits in the game?
Yeah, I won't do that in the stream. We've kind of answered a little bit on the forum and on our Slack channel, but it did remind me I need to go into the coach pages and add some help bubbles so that we can write all that stuff out there. Some of it we don't really give specifics because they're all kind of blended together, right? There's not like a one-to-one, like this one thing affects this one other thing, right? It's all just adjusting decisions one way or the other towards one scenario or a different scenario and that kind of thing. And some of them are kind of self-explanatory. So we haven't really listed out a full list of it, but I'll add some bubbles in there just to give a little bit more information to people so that it's right there in front of you in case we forget, or um, as we add, more information and more effects, that will be where we add that, make it easier for people to.
And some of that data is on the profile. I've been pulling up the profile screens. You can get some basics on the coaches there. But it sounds like this might be a good opportunity in the future for our community manager, maybe as we move the Draft Day Academy into the other games, to do something like that on the coaches here in the game, because obviously the coaches have a huge impact on in college sports and college football especially. One thing you mentioned in the list of updates, Brooks, was updated injury weighting. How are the injuries now going to play in with all the stuff we've been talking about with the depth chart and the strategy and packages and things like that?
Yeah, so the injuries they're all kind of the same as they were before. The difference is that I think in the pro game we updated the injury file to be moddable. And in this case, we've also updated it to have weights for the particular injuries. Right? Before it was like it would choose an injury across a bunch of them, and it would just randomly pick one, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense because obviously certain injuries are much more common than other injuries. So that's one of the things that we've pulled forward from the pro game and put it into the college game, just so that when you're seeing the injuries happen, it's just a little bit more realistic. Injuries in general are going to be not more prevalent. I mean, there's still going to be the same amount of injuries, but now you're going to start seeing a few more scenarios where, like I said, if a player gets tired because he's in the game for 90 snaps or whatever, in that case, there's a greater likelihood that they'll get injured and that kind of thing. So, with the strategies and the packages and all that, you're going to want to make sure that you have to balance how much do you want to work them versus how conservative you want to be and keep everybody fresh.
Okay, and I mean that makes that sense, especially with all the new options here. And then the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on that you had mentioned tonight, and we have questions about recruiting, and we'll cover recruiting in another Dev Dynasty because it's a big subject, a huge subject. But one thing I thought was interesting was talking about updating defensive movements, covering players in motion, so that it handles that better. I think it's just as the sim engine continues to evolve and making things more realistic, you guys seem to continue to keep up with new trends and kind of finding where weak spots were and making them better. So is that what we're seeing here?
I blanked out. I was reading chat. Sorry, I didn't catch.
The updated defensive movements.
Yeah, so there's we have a couple of long time fans of the game that have helped me with some of the AI decisions and engine tweaks that are in the game that are helping to create plays, helping to create more breadth of play calling, more breadth of formations interior to the game, not actual formations on the list, but just variations on formations. As we were going through creating custom plays and as they were, trying to add some new wrinkles, they noticed some of the issues with the defense just not being up to snuff. There's just certain behaviors and certain tracking and certain odd things that were happening with defenders. So we've ironed out a lot of that. The defensive focus will work a lot better. You'll see players covering players a little bit better. You'll see players rotating a little bit. You'll see players potentially handing off to defenders behind them and that kind of thing, depending on the different play selections and actions that you set up for the players. So we thought we had some of that nailed down in CF22, but it obviously wasn't working perfectly. There were some issues that we wanted to correct for CF23, and it's probably still not perfect. There's probably still some gaps there and some decisions that we can improve upon. So obviously, as people go through beta and first access, we'd love to hear more feedback on how that's working and how the plays are unfolding, so we can tweak it some more.
And I mean, I think that, one thing that I think as developers, we always strive for perfection and getting everything right, but there also does need to be an element of players screwing up and players missing things and missing assignments, or making the wrong choice. And those things happen in real life. They need to happen in the game. So I always caution anybody who says, "Oh, it's not 100% perfect. Every play doesn't work right in real life, and everybody doesn't make the right decisions and make the right coverages, and things like that." So I think that we need to have that in the game. You can't just say it's going to be perfect, and nobody can make any mistakes on coverages and things like that. It wouldn't make for a realistic game that way.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only caveat to that is I want to make sure that it's intentional that
Right.
we do that and not just a lack of a lack of code on my part that enables some of those scenarios. So obviously adding motion, adding those custom plays, adding pistol formations, and all the types of wrinkles that we're adding in, we needed to balance it a little bit by making the defense a little bit smarter and that kind of thing. And that's all we've done here. It's not, it's significant. It's an important thing to do, but yeah, there still will be plenty of head scratching moments or play calls where you're like, well, why did that player go there? Or why did the quarterback not throw there? Or why did the defender choose to cover a different player or whatever? And that's a lot of times it just comes down to the ways that the plays are designed. And I mean, the player's doing what he thinks he's supposed to do, and maybe it was a bad play call. So there'll still be definitely those elements in there where they'll keep people on their toes.
Yep, and we have some really good players in our community who, with the ability to create custom plays and I mean customize so many things. Obviously, they're eventually going to find, maybe something that works really well against the AI, and then we catch up and try to combat them. But I think that's a good thing that we have some really really savvy players and guys who spend a lot of hours on these games, and I think that's a testament to how great the games are, and especially what you guys have done with the football series. So I take that as a compliment that people are working hard to beat your game.
Yeah, there's no shortage of those guys, and we allow enough customization and enough options that people can set up their leagues in different ways. Right? They can set them up in such a way that they disable some of those things if they want. If they want to focus more on people being good at recruiting and they don't want to deal with people so much worrying about strategy and play calling, then they can turn some of that stuff off. And that way, their leagues are focused on the type of leagues that they want and the type of gamification that they want for their leagues, whether it's single player leagues or multiplayer. Those are all still options. So we definitely want to cater to all kinds of play styles. And yeah, if you have certain people in your league that are min maxing certain things and it's not, not really your intention to allow that, then yeah, we have configuration options to address some of that. So that helps.
Yep, and I always love pulling up the options screen and just clicking through and just showing how many options there are. And for new players, I know that might seem overwhelming. You don't need all of this stuff. This is, I mean, we're really in the weeds with some of these settings and things like that to give that level of customization to, our guys who have played for a long time and have specific requests and specific things they want to do. But you can definitely, if you're new, just jump in, play with the default settings, and play a really realistic, fun game of college football and have a great franchise mode experience. And then as you get more into the game, join our communities. We're everywhere now. We've got our forums, we've got the Slack channel, we've got Discord, we've got Reddit, we've all the social outlets, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything, YouTube channel. Join these places, get to know the people in the community, ask questions. You can learn, so much from how they're playing and what they're doing and things like that. And then get in there and provide us your feedback and things that you like, things you don't like, things you want to see added, because that's how we make the games better. and we appreciate the feedback and all that kind of stuff from everybody in the community. Coming out to things like this, our Twitch streams, just to to be involved and be able to interact with you guys on a basis like this.
Yeah, it's
So
one of the other fun things about doing this a little earlier than we have in past seasons is, obviously we want to get this out before or around when the season starts because that's important. But we also, we started beta a little earlier than we have in the past because I really do want people to get in there. I want, people on the Slack channel or people in Twitch or whatever. If you want to, get even advanced copies of this thing and look at joining the beta team, then yeah, reach out to us on our Slack channel and we'll see about adding some more folks to the beta team because we want as much feedback as we can get on things that are working and not working, and we want all the new ideas that we can get. Like we comb through the forums and we find things, and but as more people join the community, more ideas come in, and we implement things we see, and we're always looking for more. So the earlier we can do this, the more of the community feedback we can get into the game, the more testing we get on it, the more it becomes a stable product and something that people can enjoy for first access and for launch. So I'm glad to see people here, and I hope to see everybody in Slack, and like I said, reach out, and not too late to keep shaping the way that the game ultimately launches.
now I know a lot of people are interested in recruiting and some other aspects of that. We're going to save that for next time. We are going to be wrapping this stream up here. We like to kind of keep it to that 30-40 minute length. And we don't want to give everything away at once. We want you guys coming back next week for another stream. So that's going to do it for the things we're going to talk about tonight. Brooks, anything else on the areas we covered that you want to throw out there before we sign off for the night?
No, I mean I think we've covered quite a bit. There'll be obviously more as the weeks come. We'll do some more dev dynasties, and as people get into this and as we get into first access, we're more than happy to keep discussing things and diving deeper into some of these features and effects.
All right, sounds good. We got 2 more followers during the stream, so I mean this is a banner day for us for followers. Thank you everybody for coming to our stream tonight. For the questions, we had a great chat. The followers, the subscribers to our channel. Don't forget, our channel will be back on tomorrow night with our community manager, C. Jackson Cowart, as he continues his Draft Day Dynasty series. Make sure you're checking out our videos on YouTube, where you can find the Draft Day Academy series, which is giving tips and kind of an in-depth look at our games. We just started that series up. All of our past Dev Dynasty streams are there. Everything is on the YouTube channel because it doesn't get saved here forever. And thank you again for coming out. We're really excited about our 2023 lineup, and college football 2023 will launch officially on August 26th. So just about a little bit over a month away until we have the final build ready to go. Obviously, there will be updates and things like that after launch, as always. Thanks to Brooks for coming out, taking a break from coding, and getting this, doing this Dev Dynasty with me tonight. I want everybody to have a great rest of your week, and we will see you back here for another Dev Dynasty next week. So thanks everybody, and have a great night.